has been appointed as the new manager. Now, he's currently in charge of Sporting Lisbon in Portugal. He's going to start his new job at Old Trafford on the 11th of November. Well, United have put out a statement in the last few minutes, and it reads, United are delighted to announce the appointment of Ruben Amorim as head coach of the men's first team. It goes on. Ruben is one of the most exciting and highly rated young coaches in European football, highly decorated as both the player and a coach. It says Ruud van Nistelrooy will continue to take charge of the team until Ruben joins. Well, Ruben Amorim is thought to be one of the most highly rated coaches in Europe, and let's tell you why. Now, he played during his career as a midfielder and won the league in Portugal 3 times with Benfica. He is 39 and is the manager of Sporting Lisbon. He took that team to their first league title in 19 years in 2021, winning for the second time last season. And it seems as if Sporting could actually win the league again in Portugal this year. They're unbeaten so far. Well, it's no surprise that he has attracted the interests of those at Old Trafford. He was said to be in contention to replace Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, but Arne Slot, as you know, ultimately got that job. It's also thought that West Ham spoke to Amorim about replacing David Moyes in the summer. So what have United fans made of all of this? We've been talking to a few of them to try and find out.
I think he's going to be a really positive manager, honestly. I think, longevity, that's what they're thinking. And I think it's been very meticulous from Ineos's point of view. And I think it's going to be really exciting.
It can't get any worse. It couldn't go on as it was. It was totally unsustainable.
I guess he has proven that he can work with young and unknown players. And I guess that's what Manchester United needs right now.
Right, let's bring in the football writer Henry Winter for more on this. Henry, it is great to speak with you. Let's just pick up on what one of those guys there said. It couldn't get any worse. I mean, it could get worse, but Amorim, I guess, is a good signing for United.
Hi, Kamali. Well, it had got pretty bad under Erik ten Hag. So Manchester United fans obviously are going to be absolutely delighted by this because they've got a coach who is coming in who has got many strengths that ten Hag didn't have. He'll come in with a bit of swagger. You see him here. He's 39. He only finished playing a few years back. He's actually played at Old Trafford. He came on for Pablo Aimar in a Champions League game, and he's also had work experience, an internship under Jose Mourinho at Carrington. So there'll be one or two familiar faces there. Obviously, Manuel Ugarte, he'll know. So, he should fit in pretty quickly.
Yeah, and Carrington, of course, for those that know, the training ground of Manchester United. So he's going to come in, we think, on the 11th of November. He's got a few big games for Sporting to get out of the way first, hasn't he?
Well, absolutely. He's got Australia tonight, and then he's got Manchester City, no less, next week. So he'll probably get a lively reception from the travelling Manchester City fans. So look, he's very talented. It actually makes sense bringing him in the international break so that he can actually get a feel of it, get to know the staff, get to know some of the players who are not away on international duty, and then his welcome to the Premier League will be at Portman Road against Ipswich Town. But you can sense the buzz just, listening to your recordings with the Manchester United fans. They've been incredibly loyal to Ten Hag, but their frustration was absolutely clear. And this is an exciting new era. And Ineos, the sort of co-owners of Manchester United, deserve praise for getting this decision over the line.
Yep. All right, well, let's do with that part of it first, if we can then, Henry. How much do you think this is Ineos and Jim Ratcliffe making this decision? Because we'll know that back in the summer, there was a lot of talk that Ten Hag was going to be out of a job. They decided to stick with him. Is it just because Amorim wasn't available, do we think?
Well, what you have to look at is, obviously, Ten Hag won the FA Cup in June. There was a sort of groundswell of support, emotional support for him from the match-going fans. But then what happened in July was that, shortly after Jim Ratcliffe and one or two of the Ineos people were going around sort of basically scouting for successors to Ten Hag, the sort of the new wave of executives, the football structure came into place at Manchester United, particularly Dan Ashworth, when he finished his gardening leave at Newcastle United, came in as sporting director on July the 1st. And then Omar Barada as the chief executive followed as well, Christian Vivel, who I think is head of international scouting, really important football people. And that's when the sort of decision-making process properly accelerated. So Jim Ratcliffe, who's, outstanding businessman, he's got interest in many other sports. He's pretty much left it to the sort of the football executives who've arrived, who've obviously targeted Amorim. They've seen the way the results and the teams and the performances have been sliding recently under Ten Hag, and gone for this outstanding young coach.
Yeah, and let's talk about the business side of it as well then, Henry. Since Ten Hag was in charge in from 2022, they spent £600 million on players. I mean, this is Ten Hag's team. He kept buying players because he wanted to build his team. And now Amorim's got to inherit that. I mean, are they going to go back to the market, do we think? Or is Amorim going to work with these guys until at least, next transfer window in the summer?
It's a really good point, because what's happened at Manchester United since Sir Alex Ferguson left in 2013 is that you've had this succession of pretty high-profile managers who've brought their own players in. So you've got a squad which has got about 4 or 5 managerial imprints on it in playing style. Amorim, who, as we see here, he favours a 3-4-3 formation. How much of that actually can he bring out of the Manchester United players? Look, they're intelligent individuals. Most of them are internationals. They should be able to adapt away from a sort of 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 formation to a 3-4-3. And I think Amorim will also change the mood, not simply amongst the fans, but amongst the players as well, because there's a real sort of buzz about him. There's a swagger to him, and he's got very good communication skills, which Ten Hag lacked.
Yeah, he seems very charismatic, doesn't he? You can see that already from his news conferences. Let's talk about when he actually comes in then, Henry. There has been some discussion in the previous days about who would be part of his backroom staff. Maybe there was a bit of a hurdle involved in that. Do we know if he's going to bring in his own team, and what may well happen to Ruud van Nistelrooy, who of course is in charge of the club for the next couple of games?
Well, he's bringing in 5 of his sort of trusted allies. What is interesting in that statement that you read out is that Manchester United are calling him head coach rather than manager. Head coach pretty much implies that he is working within this new football structure and will obviously be reporting to Dan Ashworth. And in terms of what it means to Ruud van Nistelrooy. I mean, Van Nistelrooy was fantastic the other night. The buzz around the team when they won 5-2 against Leicester City. Okay, a depleted Leicester City team, but there was a buzz around it because Van Nistelrooy. It'd be great if he could stay on, but I would imagine that Amorim, he's got his own men in there. Ruud van Nistelrooy, his stock will have risen so much because of the impact that he's had on the team, and there'll be other clubs interested in recruiting him.
All right, Henry, I could have talked to you about this all afternoon, but unfortunately we've got to move on to other news. Henry went to really good